We're going to solve a top interview 150 question from LeetCode. It's called remove element. Given an integer array, you can see we have a vector type int. We're editing the actual reference of it, nums, and then we're also passing an integer value, int val. We want to remove all occurrences of val inside of our nums, and we're going to have this for a vector, so we can use a size of method. Check this out. We're going to have a value that we're going to return. It's going to be an integer, so we'll have return. What we're returning is the counter, and a counter is going to be how many times these elements are not our value. So let's go into here. We're going to have an int counter is equal to 0. We're going to run this in a for loop because we know we have a beginning and an end. The beginning is going to be the 0th index of our array, so we'll send int a equal to 0. We want to run this as long as a is less than our nums dot size. It's a method, so we are going to have parentheses, and we'll just have a plus plus. Inside of here is where we're going to want to do our check. Remember, we're going to return counter because this is the value that's going to keep track of how many elements are not equal to val. To do this how many elements are not equal to val, or which elements are not equal to val, we're going to be inside of our for loop, and we're going to do an if statement. Inside of this if statement, we're going to say if the current element, so numbers or nums at our a index, if it does not equal to our val, we're going to be inside of this if statement. If it's not equal, well, then we would increment our counter, right? So we'll have counter plus plus. Above this, I'm going to add some more code. So let's run a test case real quick. So we're going to run this code one time. Counter starts at 0, and this for loop starts at 0. We're going to go into this if statement because it's 0 and it does not equal to our value. Our value is 2 for this test case. So counter is then going to be 1. A is now going to update to be 1. We go through this again. We can see that we have an element 1 here. It's not our value, so we are going to increment our counter. It's going to be 2. Now this is 2. So we are going to be at this index now. Here's the problem. This is a 2. So we are not going to be in this if statement. So we're not going to increment our counter. We are going to go through this again. We can see that this will still update though. So now we're at the third index. It's this one. We're not going to go into this if statement either because it's a 2 and it equals to our value right here. So we're just going to increment this and not our counter. We're now at the fourth index. Fourth index is going to be this 3. Now this 3 does not equal to our value, so we can go inside of here. Before we increment our counter though, this, you can notice too, is the same as this second element or this second index right here. So what we're going to do, or what I want to do, is I want to swap this with this. Not swap, but I want to place this in place of this. I want to take this element and put it right here. So to do that, let's do a swap. We're going to have nums. Remember, it's based off our counter index, so we'll do counter because it's at 2. So it's replacing this with our current element, which is going to be nums at a. Our a is this. The second index is going to be holding this element. So we're just replacing them like this. And then counter is allowed to increment, so now it's 3. So counter is at 3, same as this index right here. We want to replace this with this next one. Well, this is going to update to 5, so we're going to get this element here. And because nums does not equal to val, because this is a 0, it's going to come in here, and we're going to replace this with this. So 3 and 0, think about it, are going to be right here. So we're replacing this 2 and this 2. This 2 is completely out now. And then we're going to go through this again. Will be the next index, right? 6. And I think it was 6 would have been this if we had our 2s still inside of it. And then from there, we are just going to increment our counter again. And then we're going to go through it again. This last element is a 2. So we're not going to go through this if statement. We're not going to increment our counter. And that's pretty much going to be it. That's going to be our code. We can run it. Hopefully it'll pass our test cases. I included all semicolons, closed everything off. It's accepted that. And then if we submit it, we should see our runtime, how well we did. And 9.2 megabytes, we solved it in 0 milliseconds. So if you have any questions about this, leave a comment below. If you want more C++ code, check out that playlist, link below the like button.